So look, the income, the GCI you have as a real estate agent is merely a reflection of your skills. And in today's video, what I want to do is to share with you the 3 core skills real estate agents who have risen to the top recently have mastered. So let's dive right in. So the skill number 1 is adaptability. Now, some of the things I'm going to talk about in this video, they're going to be very tactical and very specific as far as like you go out there and you do this, this, and this. But there are some things that are far more important that really any tactical information or tactical strategy could give you. And one of those things is adaptability. The reason why adaptability, I think, is one of the most important skills you must have as a real estate agent in today's world is because even if you know the tactic, you know how to go out there and implement something, if you don't know why you're doing that thing, it's not going to work 99 times out of 100. So basically, you end up learning these different tactics, you end up learning how to set up these different things, let's say technically, or let's say sales-wise. But if you don't know why it works or how it connects to everything else, there's really no point in learning these different tactics. So basically just wasting your time and you're moving from one tactic to another. Another reason why adaptability is one of the most important skills is because you need to know when and how to use and implement that tactic. So a lot of times I see people using different tactics, but they don't know really how or when they should actually use a specific tactic. Now, in terms of adaptability, you probably heard a quote by Charles Darwin, which basically says that it's not the fittest, it's not the strongest that survive, it's the most adaptable ones. Now, the reason why adaptability is so important right now in today's day and world is because the market is really more competitive than it has ever been. So real estate agents 20, 30 years ago, they may have no idea about how taking a photo actually works when it comes down to personal branding. They may have no idea about how to film a video, and things like this would be completely unheard of for most real estate agents 20, 30 years ago. But in today's world, real estate agents who have mastered these skills, they have mastered how to create videos, they have mastered how to create content, how to tell stories, they're getting exponential benefit from that because they can use that content on social media and get thousands of local people to see that. So there's really this distinction between real estate agents who are kind of living in this old world where they think that, hey, I'm not tech savvy, or I don't think social media is something I want to use. And there's a distinction between these real estate agents who are absolute beasts when it comes down to content creation, it comes down to telling different stories, getting people to relate to them and building these relationships. And that's why you see a lot of the times when you go out there, you see real estate agents with 1 million followers, and then some people, they maybe only have like 200 people or no social media presence at all. And it's kind of weird or kind of interesting to see that because there's these exponential curves that happen over time. So a lot of times people may think that, oh, I'm not good at social media, so I'm just not going to do it. But they see the real estate agent in their office starting to do it, and just over time they start seeing like, how does this guy get these deals? Like, where are these people coming from, right? And so that's why adaptability is one of the most important ones, because a lot of the times people tend to live in this kind of like ignorance or kind of like denial when it comes down to the changing world and changing market environments. So real estate market and real estate agents generally, they tend to move a lot slower. The real estate industry is a lot slower compared to, say, some of the other industries out there in terms of innovation, in terms of, let's say, starting to implement technology. So a lot of the things that we're starting to see here now in real estate, people creating content, people getting into the online world, are some of the things that have been out there for 15, 20, 30 years. It's just that it has not come to the real estate world yet. So the way people are actually buying services and the way people are actually purchasing different products has completely changed in the recent years. It's just that a lot of people haven't yet adapted to that change. And it's only getting worse over the years. So a lot of the times, let's say 5 years ago, I would talk with real estate agents, and let's say they were doing cold calling, and let's say they were doing some prospecting activities, like let's say postcards or mailers, or maybe they were doing some door knocking as well. These very traditional methods, they were doing just fine. I mean, they were making a decent income, the strategies were working well, but in today's market, there's just so many services, there's so many people out there that even provide you with these services. So there's all these companies that, let's say, do cold calling for you. And whenever, let's say, FSBO or expired hits the market, there's 70, there's 100, there's 200 real estate agents hitting up these cold calls to these FSBOs and expireds. And these real estate agents are not always even real estate agents. They could be virtual assistants from Philippines. They could be ISAs from different countries. It could be these big call centers just hitting up these FSBOs. And so people have a big resistance towards these types of sales calls, and they really don't want to kind of get sold in terms of that traditional way. So that has really changed a lot, but the real estate industry itself And the marketing methods people are using has not changed as much just yet. So the technological landscape and the way people are purchasing different things is really changing at a very fast pace. And really, if you're not able to adapt to it, adapt to these different trends, adapt to these different tools, such as, let's say, AI, or such as, let's say, social media, and you're always living in a denial where you're just saying like, oh, well, I'm not a social media person, or I'm not tech savvy, you're gonna really get left behind because you're doing things that people are very, very resistant of, or you're doing things that people are kind of seeing as very, very spammy or very like salesy. So instead of doing that, you want to adapt to these environments and kind of realize that it's okay to feel that way, that if you're not tech savvy, or if it's okay to feel that social media is maybe not for you, but at the same time realizing that emotion and then taking it apart from the things that you should actually be doing in your business. And that's really what adaptability is that a lot of the times you may feel like, hey, this is not my thing, or this is not something I'm good at, but still doing it regardless, learning your skills, learning about these different technologies, and then implementing it to your business. Because what you will notice over time, so I work with a lot of real estate agents, is that really these are not rocket science. This is not something you really need to, go to college for 5 years for and really study a PhD in university. These things are really learnable with around 50 to 100 hours of work. So if you just put in that time, you get yourself a good mentor, you get yourself a good coach to really walk you through that process, there's no reason any real estate agent who can go out there and sell a house, market a house, negotiate a deal, could not be using these tools to successfully acquire clients. So if you look at this trend, what you'll notice is that these trends are getting worse and worse throughout the years. So really, whenever there is a trend, obviously it simply means that something is moving into a certain direction. And what that means is that over the years, let's say 2 years from here, 3 years from here, 5 years from here, 10 years from here, these things are not going to go away. So social media, AI, any of these online marketing or online things, they're not going away. They're only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the way people make purchasing decisions is only going to move forward and forward to this direction where they really need to have more of that relationship with the person or more of that belonging sense to that brand rather than kind of being sold or rather than kind of being prospected on. Because the thing is, like, a lot of the information back in 80s, back in 70s was very limited, but in nowadays it's all abundant. Everybody can go online and they can read up on the information. So again, as a person who's just trying to prospect or just trying to hit people up, it's going to be very much more difficult with coming technologies such as, again, you can just block people's calls and you're not going to get any cold calls. So there's a lot of these technologies that are coming in, and people who are, again, stuck just on these things like prospecting or just on postcards or just on mailers or these very traditional methods, or even buying leads and just cold calling them without building any relationships, are going to be really going worse and worse and worse. So being adaptable is something we all know we should do, but rarely do we question that, are we actually adaptable? And if not, what we should do to actually become adaptable. What are the practical steps to actually becoming adaptable? It all starts in the mind. Instead of resisting the change, you must start to embrace the change and embrace these different changing environments. So a lot of the times real estate agents who did something 5 years ago or 10 years ago and it was really working, let's say it was Zillow leads, and they were really successful with their businesses, they resist that change. They feel like, oh, well, this thing I'm doing right now is not working 30, 50, 70% even to what it was before, but I should still keep doing it because it was working before. So instead of thinking that way and instead of acting that way, putting money behind something that worked in the past, embrace the change, embrace the new techniques, embrace the new tactics, embrace the new technology. Because the truth is that if you do start to embrace these things, you're number one, going to get a lot of competitive advantage over your competitors, and you're going to start doing really things that nobody else is really doing or very few people are doing already in your marketplace. And that's all going to lead into you bringing yourself a thriving business, building yourself a thriving team, and really allowing you to really run your business in the future times as well. So this actually reminds me of one of my clients. So back 3 years ago, I remember I was talking with him on the phone, and back then he was still not our client, but I was talking with him and we mapped out his strategies when it comes down to listing generation. And he told me that he was doing Zillow, he was buying these and these leads, and that was all really the strategies he had for listing generation. Now, he was a little bit older, he was in his 60s, so when I walked him through social media, when I walked him through technology, like, he was at the beginning, he felt very overwhelmed and very like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I'm in my 60s, like, I've been doing this for 30 years. I mean, I'm not a young spring chicken, right? And we talked with him and explained to him like, hey, I mean, it's totally normal feeling to have. And actually most people, they do feel that way. When they start social media, even if they are in their 20s, even if they are in their 30s. So everybody really experiences that feeling, and it's key that right now what we're gonna do next is we're gonna get you started on working with us, and I'm gonna walk you through these things step by step by step. Now these things are not gonna be easy, but with right instructions, right guidance, and the right systems, I'm gonna guarantee you're gonna be successful with this. So he took my word and we started to actually work with him. He invested into working with us and we started to do it, and he implemented every single thing I showed him. Now, of course, I helped him with some of the technical things. I helped him when it comes down to his posts. That's why he was also working with us. But over the course of the year, he was able to generate a lot of listings. He was actually able to replace Zillow. He was able to replace these leads, different leads he was buying before, with this new system, and this new system actually brought him over 3 times higher ROI per dollar spent on his advertising. And now he's still running the same strategy. After 3 years, he's still successfully running his social media, still successfully getting clients from his organic social media. And really that's the key to understand here, is that even if you don't feel like right now you know these things, you need to realize is like these are not rocket science. It does take some work, it does take some grit, and it's gonna feel hard at the beginning, but when you do adapt, the changes are massive, and these are the things that are gonna be there for years to come. So really, when you look at the trends right now, when you see that real estate agents who have maybe been average performers 3 years ago or 5 years ago, and now they're superstars of their team, they're top producing agents, maybe in their team or maybe even in the state, what really combines these people is that they're able to adapt with the times. They're able to go with whatever the trend is right now. They're not stuck in the past. Let's say real estate agents were very successful back in 2020 when COVID hit and interest rates were very low, right? Those people who are still kind of like, oh, the interest rates are not at 0% or they're not at like 1%, right? They're still kind of clinging on to that. Even though now we're in 2020, we're now moving to 2024, they're still clinging on to the fact that 3 years ago the interest rates were lower, right? Those types of people are never really going to be able to build anything successful. We're not really going to be able to really get their business to that next level if they're still stuck in that same belief pattern that, hey, things should be the way they were before. And the same applies to your marketing strategies and technology you use. Like, adapt with the times, adapt with technology, and if you do that, you're guaranteed to be successful. So the second skill is going to be personal branding. And let me ask you a question. If you look at all the past clients you've helped with on the listing side in the last 3 years, where did most of those clients come from? And if you're like most real estate agents, most of your clients probably came from your sphere of influence or referrals. In other words, you had a great personal brand with these people, and because of that, they decided to list their houses with you. The problem though is that a lot of people are actually good at getting clients from their sphere of influence or referrals, but the issue is that they don't know how to scale, create, or grow relationships outside of that sphere of influence to successfully scale up their business. So this actually reminds me of one of my clients, and so he was an amazing people person. He was really able to build great comfort, great rapport, and really make people feel kind of cared for. And he was really amazing in his local sphere of influence. A lot of local people already kind of knew him, they liked him, but the sphere of influence was very minimal. We're not talking about thousands of people. We're talking about like hundreds of people that really liked him. So the issue was that he didn't have a personal brand online. He didn't know how to get people outside of his sphere, how to turn strangers into listings. And when we started to work with him, he was able to take that same exact thing he had that in person and take that thing online. And that's where really thousands of local people started to see him. He was able to turn these strangers into listing clients in a very similar way he would do in person. And he was also able to really allow himself to be known in the local community at a larger amount. So after a year of building his personal brand online and being able to build these relationships online, he got to a point where his listing business had grown by over 50%. And also, whenever he went to, let's say, a local supermarket, a lot of times the cashiers, the local people would kind of recognize him. So it was like a small market area, not a lot of big market. So a lot of local people started to know him. And as a result, his referrals just blew up exponentially. So the first step to building your personal brand online as a realtor is really identifying identifying what is going to be the strategy you're going to be using to really attract your ideal clients. Where are those ideal clients? Where are they essentially congregating? Are you going to be using Facebook? Are you going to be using Instagram? Are you going to be using YouTube? Are you going to be using TikTok? What is going to be the exact strategy you'll be implementing on which of these platforms? So a lot of times I see people just trying to do everything, and that's obviously impossible to be successful when you're trying to do 10 different platforms. So the first step is to really identify, okay, what is going to be the platform you're going to be focusing on, and what is going to be the strategy you're going to be focusing on, and then after that, the key is really personality-driven content. So a lot of times I see, especially with the advance of things like ChatGPT or really automation, is that a lot of people tend to put out very generic, templated, or kind of like computerized content. And really, people are very sick and tired of this. They're sick and tired of seeing automated posts. They're sick and tired of seeing spammy posts, or they're sick and tired of kind of seeing these random computerized messages. And you really probably notice that whenever you see somebody making a content with ChatGPT nowadays, you just see, okay, this is done with ChatGPT. This is not actually that person. And if you build your marketing something around like that, obviously it's not gonna really scale. It's not really gonna be successful. But if you make yourself that person in your content, where you are in the content yourself, it's going to show people that you care about them. But most importantly, going back to the first point we talked about, the first skill, the adaptability and really the personal branding, like people want to buy from people that have a relationship. People want to buy from people that they know. People want to buy from people that they like, they trust. So if you're able to create personality-driven content, it's going to allow these local homeowners to really get to know you on a real, authentic, relatable basis. And when you're able to do something like that, you're automatically going to stand out from 99.9% of the real estate agents out there. You're going to be the person that is actually somebody they know, maybe their friend, maybe their cousin, somebody like that, because you guys have something called a parasocial relationships built up, where these local people feel like you're kind of one of the people they know in the local area, despite you maybe not necessarily ever meeting them. It's a little bit like you're watching this video right now. You may know me from these videos, but I don't know who you are personally, unless, of course, I have seen your content online. So the solution to this is really the fact that you're going to go out there, you're going to select that strategy, but after you select that strategy, you really put your heart into it and be in the content yourself and create personality-driven content. Also share things about your personal life, share about the things that you're doing, and really share personal stories. And those are going to be the things that are going to allow people to build that personal brand with you. So the way the world is headed to, that personal branding and being in the content yourself, being conversational, adding value, and be really authentic and a relatable person, this is something that's going to be necessity, not something that's optional to do. And the reason why is because everybody has access to automated content, everybody has access to different templates, everybody has access to ChatGPT or any other really AI tool out there for like $20 a month or for free. So it's not like anybody couldn't go out there and write a prompt and get a piece of content, but what is really going to be a value add is when you can actually be there yourself and really share that authentic value, something original, something unique, something where you are in the local market and you have actually seen things to happen and seen things going on in your local area. And really, when you do build your personal brand, it's going to allow you to stand out immediately from everybody else. But most importantly, it's going to make the homeowner feel like you actually care for them and you actually put in effort when you're actually selling their property as well. Because the things you're doing in your marketing, the homeowner is going to project onto their marketing. And so when the homeowner thinks about, hey, what is it going to be like to work with this real estate agent? Are they going to think that, hey, this realtor is just going to use ChatGPT and put some templated stuff in there? Or is this realtor actually going to look at my property, do the research, go out there, film a video, do all these things for me? And that's going to be the difference between these realtors and these realtors. So again, build a personal brand, be authentic, be relatable. And this all goes back to the step number one, being adaptable, right? Maybe 15 years ago, you could just go get away with like automated content or just templated stuff. But in today's marketplace, it's an absolute necessity that you are in the content yourself and you stand behind your own product, stand behind your own services. So the skill number 3 will be property tour videos, and property tours are probably still one of the most undervalued skills when it comes down to social media marketing online marketing and client generation. The property tours are an excellent, probably the best way for you to actually demonstrate to the new buyers and the new sellers that you have real marketing skills, that you can actually add value to your home selling process. Going back to what we talked about when it comes down to adaptability, a lot of these things like taking pictures are so easy to do nowadays yourself that you really don't need a real estate agent for that. But do you need a real estate agent for filming an awesome marketing video, for editing that marketing video, for really being able to put it out there in a successful way to an audience that's already real estate agents, that's really already built up throughout all these years? You do need a real estate agent for that. So property tours, they're an incredibly great way for, first of all, growing your audience, because social media platforms, they just love home tours, they just love property tours. And so it shows your content to a lot of new people, and it also targets it to the local area. So really, the property tour about Los Angeles most likely gets showed to the Los Angeles people. And so that's why it's one of the best ways to geographically get the right audience, also psychologically get the right audience, because you're getting people that are interested in homes, but it's also one of the best way to get high quality clients, those engaged leads, you know, those people that come up to you and they say, hey, I want to sell my house with you. Well, property tours allow you to do that, because with property tours, you can demonstrate your marketing skills. You can show people, hey, this is how I can record this amazing listing video, this amazing property tour video. This is what your property tour is also going to look like. When I'm going to sell your house, this is what it's going to look like, and the home sellers just see that. Also, when it comes down to property tours, it's an excellent way to build your personal brand, because with property tours, you can associate beautiful properties, you can associate beautiful things, you can associate great editing, great marketing, right? You can associate all of these things directly to you, even though obviously the property may not always even be yours. It may be a builder's, it may be a listing agent's or something like that. But even though the property is not yours, you can still associate yourself to that property and those types of properties as well. So property tours are also great because these are one of the easiest content types to create when it comes down to like how much you actually have to think about it. Let's say I'm creating a video like this, we have to create a script, we have to come up with the idea, we have to do all of these things, and a lot of things I have to kind of memorize and do before I do this video. But when you create a property tour, it's pretty straightforward. Just go to the property, you have your camera with you, and you start recording, and then you just edit it and put it out there online. Now, of course, with property tours, there is nuances, there is different things, but that's as simple as it can get. And oftentimes to get started with property tours, you don't even need a camera, you don't need a DSLR, you don't need to have an editing team, anything of these things. All you need to get started with property tours is just your phone, just your microphone, and really just a stabilizer to record the video. And that's all that you need. I've seen people get 50, 100 transactions a year just by recording property tours for free with organic marketing on these social media platforms. So because of that, the skill number 3 you definitely want to learn and definitely start implementing and adapt to is these property tour videos. They're probably one of the easiest content types to create right now. And if you actually include the personal branding into it, you actually be in the videos yourself and you share a little bit about yourself as well. Those are one of the best ways right now to build your personal brand. So if you look at where the world is heading to, the trends that we're seeing right now in the marketplace, this is only going to get bigger and bigger. So the marketplace is going to go more towards the direction where people want to see a personal brand, they want to relate to the person they're buying things with, and online marketing is only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger from here. So as a real estate agent, this is really where the future is headed to. This is where we're going to be at 3 years from here, 5 years from here, 10 years from here. And if you're able to master these skills and really double down on these 3 things that I covered in this video, this next year, just doubling down on these 3 things, I believe that you're going to be able to, number one, get a lot more clients on a short-term basis, but also set yourself up for the future and adapt to the future before it even happens. Now, at my company, KnowSuit.io, we've helped hundreds of real estate agents implement this exact strategy and these exact things that I just covered in this video here today. So if you'd like to, what we can do with you is we can analyze your current marketing systems. We can take a look at what you're currently doing and really sit down and just look at what you're doing right now and see how this would look like in your exact situation, because every real estate agent is different, every real estate market is different. And so if you'd like to see what exactly that will look like when you actually run this in your market, what it actually look like when you run this exact strategy, you can book that call. On that call, what we're gonna do, it's 100% free call. There's no strings attached. We're not gonna try to like force sell you or anything like that. What we're gonna do basically is we'll look at what you're doing right now. We'll look at what's gonna be the ideal situation you wanna get to and what is gonna be the exact strategy that's gonna make sense for you specifically. Now, based on that, if you'd like to, of course, explore what it would look like to actually work together to get these things set up on a more personal level, we can explore that too. So if you like that, there's a link down below in this description. You can click a link over there. It's going to take you to our calendar. You can pick whatever spot is best for you. And then from there, we're going to give you a Zoom link. So at the time of the meeting, you can hop on. And we're going to personally, one-on-one, look at your situation, look at your stuff that you're doing right now, show you where you can improve, but most importantly, show you the roadmap, show you the direction for how you can actually adapt, how you can build your personal brand, and really what is going to be the real content strategy you're going to be implementing in your marketplace. So if you like that, all you have to do is just go to the link below, click on the link, select the time, and then from there, we'll hop on a Zoom and check that out with you together. So if you like that, just click on the link and I'll see you over there.